Hi guys, and today we're going to be working out the CXC Mathematics May 2019 question 10. Okay, so let's go straight into it. In part A, part 1, they had asked us to multiply out this matrix here. Now, this here is a 2 by 2 matrix, and over here is a 2 by 1. Now, I'm sure a lot of you all may be a little rusty on how to multiply matrices. So how about I do a quick review for you all on how to multiply matrices. So I have my own example here, right? And then when we clarify this, we'll go back to the question. So like I said, over here, it's a 2 by 2 matrix, right? Let's get a better marker here. Here's a 2 by 2 matrix, and over here is a 2 by 1 matrix. So how do you multiply matrices? Now there's many methods out there, but for those of you who come my online classes, right, the easiest way to multiply, this here is a 2 by the way, right, the easiest way to multiply a 2 by 2 by a 2 by 1 is to look at the 2 by 1 matrix. Keep your eye on him and then look at the number underneath. So the number underneath is 5. So I want you to circle that 5. Then pretend this 5 swings up to the top. So when it swings up to the top, it meets the minus 1. Here's what I want you to do now. I want you to pretend this minus 1 and 5, they walk across here. If they walk across and keep the same order, the minus 1 will go on top here, and the 5 will end up on the minus 3. Let's do that again. So the 5 swings up to the top, and these two numbers walk across. So the 1 ends up on top, minus 1 ends up on top here, and the 5 ends up on top here. Now, you see the same two numbers that walked across? I want you to photocopy it over the underneath two numbers. So the minus 1 goes here, and the minus 5, and the positive 5 goes underneath there, right? So the 5 swings up to the top, these two walk across, and the same two numbers, we photocopy it underneath. Now here's what we're going to do. You see each pair of number, I'm going to circle them. We are going to multiply each pair of numbers. Minus 1 multiplied by 2 is minus 2. 5 multiplied by minus 3 is minus 15. Minus 1 by 6 is minus 6, and 5 by 4 is 20. Okay? Now, when we multiply this matrix by this matrix, we're supposed to get two answers, one on top and one underneath. To get the answer on top is really simple. You just have to add the two answers we got on top. So minus 2 plus minus 15. A plus and a minus is a minus. So you end up with minus 2 minus 15, which is minus 17. And the same thing for the underneath. If we want the underneath answer, we have to say minus 6 plus the 20. Minus 6 plus 20 is 14. So that's how you multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a 2 by 1. So knowing that now, let's get to the first part in question 10 in May 2019. So you have the 2 by 2 matrix, that's a big one, and the small one here, K and the 5. That's the smaller one there. Keep your eye on the underneath number. Pretend he swings up to the top. So what do we have on top here? The K and the 5. Pretend they walk across, just like in the other question. So the K ends up here, and the 5 ends up here. Let's pretend they're walking like the K and the 5, you also photocopy it over the underneath numbers, and each pair we are going to multiply them. So don't let the letters get to you. K by minus 1 is minus K, 5 by 3 is 15, K by 4 is 4K, and 5 by H is 5H. As simple as that. Now remember, when we take the 2 by 2 and multiply by the 2 by 1, we're supposed to get two answers, one on top and one underneath. To get the top answer, we add the two tops. Okay? minus k plus 15 is just minus k plus 15. You cannot simplify that. And to get the underneath number, we say 4k plus 5h. And that is as simple as that will get. So that was the answer for A part 1, part A. As simple as that, guys. Okay? So let's move on to the other part. Now the other part is based on the part we just did. So I'll keep this close. In part B, they gave us this statement and they want us to find the value of h and k. But in part 1, they had asked us to multiply this and this. And remember, when we multiply this and this, we got minus k plus 15 and 4k plus 5h. That's when we worked out this portion, right? Remember this answer from part A? Right. That's the same thing here. And now they're telling us to put it equal to 0, 0. This just means the whole top is equal to 0 and the whole underneath is equal to 0. So we're gonna get an equation. So let's work out the top first. Minus k plus 15 is equal to 0. You think we could solve this? This is real easy to solve. We just had to throw across minus k on the other side and you will get positive k. So we solve for k. K is 15. Let's put it underneath. 4k plus 5h is equal to 0. Remember, we just figured out k was 15. So this k, throw it away and in brackets put 15. 4 by 15 is 60 plus 5h is equal to 0. To solve for h is very easy. You throw across positive 60, you get minus 60. And then the positive 5 is touching the h, so he's a secret multiply. Throw him across, you get a divide. Remember, when you throw across a multiply, you get a divide, but his sign does not change. Minus 60 divided by positive 5 is minus 12. So that means k was 15 and h was 12. Alright guys, so that was part B. Well, A part 1, it's kind of weird, the labeling of the numbers, right? But I'm doing the whole of question 10 in order as it came in the past paper. Alright guys, in the next part of the question, they wanted us to solve this question using a matrices method. This was a simultaneous equation, and they made it clear, a matrices method. So, first thing, this doesn't look like a matrix. So what you will need to do is convert this to a matrix. So what you're going to do is make sure the x comes before the y in each case. So lucky for you, the x comes before the y and the 5 and the 13 are on the other side of the equal sign. You notice all of them have numbers touching the letters except the y? Well, that just simply means this is 1y. Make sure and put it in, guys, right? You don't want to have the 1 in your head. You want to see it physically in your working. What we're going to do is extract the numbers, the 2, the 3, the minus 5 and the 1, and you put the x and the y here, and you put the 5 on the 13 on the other side of the equal sign. So what you just did was converted the simultaneous equation itself to a matrix. You want to solve for x and y. That's the purpose of a simultaneous equation. So that means you are going to have to take this matrix and throw it across on the other side. Now the thing about it, whenever you take a matrix and throw it across on the other side, you are going to get the opposite of that matrix. It's really simple. It's just like algebra. Let me just get a piece of scrap paper here. Remember when you have an equal sign and a positive on one side, and you throw across a positive, you get a negative? Or if you have a multiply and you throw across a multiply, you get a divide? The point is, when you throw something across an equal sign in maths, you get the opposite. Now, the opposite of a matrix is called the inverse of a matrix. So, when we throw this matrix across, only x and y will be left on this side, which is what we want to solve for. And when the matrix makes it across, you have to be careful. When you're throwing across a matrix, it can only jump across one matrix. So the matrix will not land here, because that means it's jumping over 1 and 2. When we throw it across, it has to jump over this matrix, and it will land in between the equal sign and this, and it will push the 5 and 13 around to make space. So see if you can do that little piece of animation in your head there. So how do you find the inverse of a matrix, right? So let's see if I can just quickly refresh your memory. The x and y will be on this side. The 5 and 13, we pushing it around. The first thing we have to do when we find the inverse of a matrix is to find the determinant of the matrix. So to find the determinant of the matrix, we multiply this diagonal, 2 by 1. So we're finding the determinant, as points in the corner here. 2 by 1 is 2. After you multiply this diagonal, you always multiply this diagonal first. As soon as you do that, you must put a minus sign. Then you multiply the other diagonal. 3 by minus 5 is minus 15. So sometimes when you're finding the determinant, two minus signs come together, like in today's question. Minus signs make a positive, so 2 plus 15 is 17. Whatever you get for the determinant, you always throw it underneath a 1. So we got the 17 here. Okay? You see the first diagonal that we multiplied? They switch places. The other diagonal does not physically move. So the 3 and the minus 5 doesn't physically move. They just become their opposites. So the opposite of minus 5 is positive 5, and the opposite of positive 3 is minus 3. Okay? So all we have to do now to solve for x and y is multiply this scenario out. So let me just get my calculator. I just showed you how to multiply a 2 by 2 matrix by a 2 by 1. Don't let this 1 on 17 get to you. Let's block him out. Let's multiply this by this. And the 1 on 17, we'll see about him last. Okay? So how would we do this? The 13 swings up to the top. The 5 and the 13 walk across. So 5 and 13. And the 5 and the 13, let's put it underneath here, will get photocopied underneath. We're going to multiply each pair here now. So forgive the small but scrappy handwriting. But the key is once you can understand what I wrote and get the concept. 5 by 1 is 5. 13 multiplied by minus 3 is minus 39. 5 by 5 is 25. 2 by 13 is 26. Okay? So, I'll just clean up some space here. To get the top number, remember what we do? We add the two top answers. 5 plus and a minus is a minus. So we end up with 5 minus 39, which is minus 34. And to get the underneath number, 25 plus 26. 25 plus 26 is 51. But we still have this annoying 1 and 17 on the outside. This just basically means we are multiplying everyone inside the brackets by 1 on 17, which is basically the same thing as dividing by 17. So 34 divided by 17 is 2, and 51 divided by 17 is 3. I mean a small mistake. This is minus 34 divided by 17. So a minus divided by a positive is a minus. Okay? So that's the answer. The top answer is x and the underneath answer is y. So I'll just double checking my answer, make sure I did nothing wrong. -4. Right, everything looks perfect there. And that was the end of part 2. So the first half of the question was actually based on matrices. In the second half of the question, they began to ask questions about the vectors, right? So I need to zoom out a little bit here, because I think I need 2 pieces of paper to fit. All right, so this is how this question came. So I kind of drew it back, right? So what they did, they told us in the diagram itself, right, in the wording, the vector OA was 9, 0, and OB was 3, 6. So I kind of drew it in on the diagram already. They also said A to D, look at it, it's written here, A to D is 1/3 of the entire line. So that means this part is 1/3 and this part is 2/3. And they said OE has a similar thing. O to E was 1/3 of the entire OE line, right? So that means here is 1/3 and over there is what? 2/3. Okay, I'm just double checking my diagram to make sure everything is correct. Yep, everything is correct. So the first part of the question had asked us to find, I hope everything could be seen here properly. They had asked us to find the vector BE. So BE, let me draw it in and you can have a look at it. BE is from B all the way to E. So whenever I teach my student vectors, I always tell them BE is the easiest way to walk from B to E. But how else can you walk from B to E? You go from B to O and O to E. So the plan to find BE, oh sorry, that's the last part. Sorry, the first thing, sorry, I mixed up the questions. This was part 1. They had asked us to find AB. To find AB, the easiest way is to walk from A to B, but you have to find an alternative path. So to go from A to B, you go from A to O and O to B. AB is from A to O and then O to B. Okay? Alright. A to O is against the arrow. In vectors, when you go against the arrow, the values need to become the opposite. So the opposite of positive 9 is minus 9, and well, 0 has no opposite. OB is with the arrow, so we're not changing anything. So let's add it up. Minus 9 plus 3 is minus 6, and 0 plus 6 is 6. So that means A to B is minus 6, 6, right? So you notice I put the answer on my diagram. So AB is minus 6, 6. The next part of the question asks us to find OD. OD is this line. What's the easiest way to go from O to D? Obviously, just walk from O to D. But let's try an alternative path. You have to find an alternative path. There are two ways. You could go from A to O and then A to D, or O to B and B to D. Believe me, any path you take will give you the same exact answer. But let's go from O to A and A to D. So let's put down the plan for the examiner. O to A and then A to D. OA is with the arrow and the values on the board. 9, 0. We're not changing the sign because we're going with the arrow. And AD, remember the whole line is minus 6, 6. And AD is 1/3 of the entire line. So if the entire line is minus 6, 6, AD is 1/3 of that. Which basically means you're multiplying everyone inside the brackets by 1/3. 9, 0, and 1/3 of 6 is minus 2. 1/3 of positive 6 is positive 2. Add the two top numbers. 9 plus and a minus is a minus, so 9 minus 2 is 7, and 0 plus 2 is 2. So OD is 7, 2. Now back to the first part that I had worked first by mistake. BE. How can we walk from B to E? B to O and O to E. If you go from B to A and A to E, you'll get the same answer, but I'm going this way. BE. B to O and then O to E. BO is against the arrow, so we have to change the signs. Minus 3, minus 6, plus OE is 1/3 of the entire line. Remember the examiner told us that? So the entire line is 9, 0, but O to E is only 1/3 of that value. So you have minus 3, minus 6, and 1/3 of 9 is 3, and 1/3 of 0 is 0. Minus 3 plus 3 is 0, minus 6 plus 0 is minus 6. Great. Okay? So that's the answer for the entire question 10, right? So before I say my goodbyes to everyone, I just want to let everyone know that I'm actually giving Zoom classes, Zoom online classes for not only maths, but for a lot of other subjects, right? So the flyers on the screen right now is only for persons in Trinidad and Tobago, but very soon we're going to be expanding to the rest of the Caribbean. Okay, guys? So if you're interested, let me help you pass your CXC exam, and of course, contact me on the number on the flyer if you're interested. So thanks a lot, guys, and I look forward to making many more videos. In my next video, I'm going to probably do question 9 from this same past paper. Take care, guys, and have a good one.